This is greytFM, a podcast series by Great HR, produced by Timber Media.
Hello. Welcome to Great FM, a podcast by Great HR. I'm Ahalya, your host, and today on our wonderful 50th episode, just small claps first, we're examining a case that needs urgent solving in the world of HR. I'm really going to put on my Sherlock or mystery novel hat for a second. Just run with me through this analogy, okay? It is something that is shaking up the industry and something that HR professionals world over are trying to solve every single day in some way, shape, or form. So today we're going to actually try and crack the case. Will we Sherlock our way through this one? We're going to have to see. But first, let me break the case down for you a little bit. Context is everything, right? So the mystery we're working with is, how do we retain employees in an ever-evolving workplace with ever-evolving employee expectations? The priority level of solving this case, in my humble opinion, is very, very high. And what really caused this? What was the motivation? Well, that's what we're trying to figure out. We don't need statistics and surveys to validate the great retention challenge that HR is confronted with today. We're witnessing employee turnover, high attrition, and a churn like never before. But I'll humor you. Here are some stats in case you're the kind that needs numbers. A Gallup survey revealed that self-reported employee turnover risk is at its highest point since 2015. Its latest measure in May shows that half of US employees, which is 51%, are watching or actively seeking a new job, continuing a recent upward trend. And you'll find tons more statistics where that came from, but we've got to start talking about the solution to the problem for now. So let's go. And I have to admit, I'm just Dr. Watson on this case. So let me introduce the man who's going to be playing Sherlock for this episode of Great FM. That would be Pakzad Nussirabad, who is a people leader with over 20 years of experience in diverse industries and organizations. And the reason that he's such a perfect voice for us to be talking to today is because he truly believes that ensuring that the organization constantly optimizes its employee value proposition to become and remain an employer of choice is absolutely important. He currently serves as Director, Support Functions and Services, Hutasha & Co. LLP. So let's hear from him. Hi, Pakzad. Thank you so much for being here with us and for donning the hat of Sherlock today.
I would rather be Watson because he's the doer, but Sherlock it is today then. I mean, I've been spent almost 2 decades now with large and growing firms and pretty much seen retention challenges from every angle. And if you ask me, the role of an HR head today is more like a head chef at a massive Indian wedding feast where 4 generations are sitting together, each with completely different taste and dietary preferences. And you ask me, what's the secret to keeping everyone happy and engaged? Well, a thoughtfully curated buffet that respects tradition and embraces innovation. So I think that's what I'm going to try and bring out in today's podcast with you.
Perfect. You've also got me eager for a taste of food now. Thank you very much for that at the start of it. But okay, let's begin by breaking down the sectors most impacted by the Great Retention Challenge. We're working with a global marketplace and a global work landscape. Who's been hit worst and who is relatively, as far as you can tell, in the safe zone for now?
Okay. So, welcome to the musical chairs of a grand Indian feast. From my consulting work across sectors, I see that the spiciest competition in IT, healthcare, retail, and hospitality, followed by that, India's IT and BPO space is, as always, still experiencing high levels of attrition, hitting almost 28%. I mean, these are official numbers. I can tell you that the unofficial ones may be even higher. It's pretty much watching that. I'm not much of a cricket fan, but, IPL, yes. And it's like those IPL players switching teams faster than you can say technical timeout or strategic timeout. What's fascinating is that the Indian workforce engagement dropped just to 19%, and yet 82% are actively job hunting despite a 9.2% salary increase. And this is not me talking. This is the Economic Times 2025. It just goes to tell you that it's not all about the money. It's the entire employee experience.
Mm-hmm.
Government and education, you ask me, remain the comfort food sector as I see them. Reliable but increasingly challenged by younger talent seeking more dynamic flavors. Here's the generational reality that we work with daily. Gen Z wants the trendy cafe experience, it wants it to be flexible, tech enabled, and purpose driven. Gen X, and I should know, I represent this poor, often overlooked powerhouse generation, which brings stability, experience, and wants balanced growth with meaningful recognition.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have our great old millennials craving fusion, rapid advancement with social impact. And then we have our boomers who, to me, have sacrificed it all and they prefer their tradition and structured approach. So, you know, I don't think that there is a safe zone as such, but this is what my perspective is on this.
No, that's perfect. And I love that we're running with the food and the culinary theme, really, because it does give us an understanding, like in any recipe, there's 1,000 ingredients at play at any given point in time. And I think that leads me perfectly into the next question. Is it as simple as cause and effect? And, for the industries that have been hit the worst, what, in your opinion, are the biggest drivers of this high churn causing this great retention challenge?
So I'm going to keep you engaged with the food experience.
Okay.
So let's look at a multi-spice biryani of attrition today. In over 2 decades that I've been working, I've learned that attrition is never a single ingredient. It's like a complex biryani.
Mm-hmm.
Currently inflation outpaces pay increases, leaving employees feeling shortchanged despite the raises, career stagnation. It's like serving the same dal every day. People crave variety and growth, whereas, having the same dal isn't going to work anymore. Where I'm engaged currently, we are seeing how clear progression paths dramatically impact retention.
Mm-hmm.
Coming to the next important element, burnout. Particularly post-pandemic in healthcare, has become a dominant spice that's overwhelming the biryani dish. And I can't leave out my generation. I just feel we are neglected, so I tend to stress on it.
Right.
We believe in meaningful work. We leave when meaningful work disappears or when our decades of experience aren't valued.
Mm-hmm.
Frankly, if you go to see it, Gen X is the bridge generation. And smart employers recognize their unique value in stabilizing teams and driving innovation.
Mm-hmm.
With a predicted global talent shortage of 83 million by 2028, means that we can't afford to lose anybody unnecessarily.
Right.
If that's what I can end this question on.
That's an important perspective, right? You want to do everything you can to hold on to great talent because that is what's going to take you into the future amidst all of these tech developments and AI advancements that have been happening around us. But I'll say this much. We started off with the whole murder mystery analogy, right? Or mystery analogy. And whenever a case needs to be cracked, you always need a culprit, right? But I find that a lot of times when it comes to the great retention issue, people are always pointing fingers at the rise of the gig economy. And this is both on the employer and employee side. So what are your opinions there? Is the gig economy majorly responsible in this shift, or is it being unfairly blamed? Does it actually have potential to help solve the challenge?
Let me try and answer that for you. It's like food trucks and fine dining, creating a richer ecosystem together. The gig economy is like Mumbai's innovative food truck scene that's building up slowly and steadily.
Mm-hmm.
And they have this habit of going and parking next to established restaurants. I see them as enhancing the dining scene rather than destroying it. Companies like HCL now offer internal gig pods, as they call them, and Accenture also to augment their need for blockchain had engaged a gig workforce to do the needful.
Right.
From my consulting work, I can see things a little differently than many. The gig economy has revealed what employers always wanted: autonomy, variety, and respect for their expertise.
Right.
So smart organizations integrate these elements rather than fight them. See, all generations use gig work differently, and you need to appreciate that.
Okay.
Young talent for skill building, and the elder generations for expertise and sharing supplemental income.
Hmm.
So, in a word, no, I think the gig economy is only making things richer,
Okay.
and it's how we can weaponize it in our way of working.
Yeah, I think what strikes me from the conversation so far is also the idea that, see all of these elements for what they are and what they can do, and then make them do just that, right? Don't try to make any one ingredient, to fall back into the food analogy. Try to make it do
Yeah.
something it was never built to do in the first place. Another piece of the general discourse that one sees today, Pakzad, is that given the VUCA world that we live in, employees are simply just demanding what they should have gotten all along. Things have changed very rapidly. I mean, there was a work landscape 100 years ago. There's going to be a work landscape 100 years from now. But I'm curious about what these employee expectations changing really mean. Can you articulate for us what they actually are? Like, how do they present themselves? What do employees want now that they didn't care for before, if at all?
Hmm. So as I told you, I'm going to stick with I'm hungry since morning, so I've not got
You've
a
made
chance
me
to eat
very
lunch.
hungry as well, and I have
Yeah,
to
yeah.
tell
I'm
you,
going to get you
biryani is like
hungrier.
my biryani is like my one weakness, and you brought that up at a time of day that I cannot get access to it anywhere. So anyway,
Then we should catch up for biryani sometime soon. But let's talk about the modern workplace buffet right now. After decades in HR, I see expectations as legitimate evolution in a
hmm.
sense. I did kind of touch upon it earlier, but I'll go a little deeper. See, boomers are all about security, respect, recognition for their contribution, the foundational dishes that anchor any meal. You know, then we move on to Gen X. And as I said, this is personal and you've given me a stage, so I'm going to take it.
Hmm.
We want balanced growth, continuous learning opportunities, and acknowledgement of our unique position as technology adapters and institutional knowledge holders. We are not just managing until retirement, we are driving innovation and providing stability. If you go to see, they are Gen X are the adapters of technology. They are the bridge generation. And then moving on to millennials, they believe in purpose driven work. Rapid advancement is something they seek, and I've experienced them as my teams have been made up of millennials pretty much over the years. And they do believe in social impact, the fusion cuisine of the workplace, if you may call it. And finally, coming to Gen Z, kind of my favorite generation, they are tech first, diversity focused, mental health conscious, the cutting edge dish that keeps the menu Instagram fresh. So, what is if you ask me, the takeaway, what is the strategic insight? Successful retention means offering choice, not uniformity. That's where I'll park it.
Yeah, that's a very interesting perspective. And, things do change. It's just a function of living on this planet that we call
Absolutely.
Earth. And it does, in some sense, feel like we're just in a transition phase right now. When you talk about something like the work landscape and retaining the best talent, I mean, that's something that takes decades, multiple decades, right, to sort of settle in. AI has also become a thing. Geopolitical tensions are causing things to shift like crazy. But the world of work has changed before, is basically what I'm trying to get to. So how did HR
Hmm.
professionals manage it then, Pakzad, versus now? And I guess what I'm asking you is, the world seems to turn in cycles, right? It just keeps going on. So are we in a cycle currently where HR professionals can borrow from their predecessors, or is it a completely different toolkit that they need to be looking at?
So I think it's more of a blending of wisdom with innovation, and that's where generations come in, and I'll connect it shortly. See, the foundation will always remain human connection. Again, if I was to throw in a food reference here, it's the grandmother's recipe that never goes out of style. But we've added sophisticated tools to enhance and not replace this connection. As someone who has navigated both these eras,
Mm-hmm.
earlier HR was intuitive and relationship based. Today, we combine that with wisdom, with predictive analytics, AI driven insights, and AI informed decision making. So rather than AI replacing, make AI your friend in a sense, make it
Mm-hmm.
your, as Microsoft calls it rightly, co pilot, you
Right.
know, or your sous chef in this context. uh, Gen X leaders bring unique value here as well. They understand both traditional relationship building and modern technological capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
They can implement AI tools while maintaining the human touch. That kind of builds genuine loyalty. And this is not me speaking. I was reading an article on HSBC India on in this context.
Mm-hmm.
This combination of experience and adaptability is what makes seasoned HR professionals invaluable in today's market.
Right.
So I think that it's that combination that is required rather than just one thing, if that answers your question. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's always helpful. You started the conversation by saying blending tradition with innovation, right? And I think that's exactly what all HR professionals out there confronting this challenge and facing it head on need to do as well. And as we come to the end of the conversation now, Pakzad, there's just one question left to ask you, which is any challenge always poses, of course, some lows, but also some highs, some opportunities, right? So for HR professionals listening to the podcast today, given the Great Retention Challenge, what do you think is the biggest mistake that they could make in trying to solve this challenge? And then we'll talk about the opportunities that they might be missing in the chaos of it all.
Yeah, I mean, this one makes me think a little, and many a time, HR professionals also get carried away by what they hear and what they see. And here is where strategic wisdom comes from experience. And what I can tell you is that the critical mistake, if you were to look at it, is applying generic solutions without understanding generational or individual nuances. Individual could be even organization or industry nuances.
Mm-hmm.
It's like adding salt to everything, hoping that it improves the taste. You just make everything unpalatable in a sense. So
Okay. Mm-hmm.
that would be a critical mistake that I would sense that people should avoid. And, if it comes to based on experience, the biggest failures come from leaders who don't invest time in truly understanding the workforce demographics and treating retention as a one time fix rather than an ongoing strategic discipline. I think in HR, more than understanding your being the watchdogs as we were known to be of policy and process, spend time in understanding the people that you work with and the industry that you work with and the work that they do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what makes a difference. And I think the transformational opportunity, if I was to look at it, that organizations that have leveraged experienced HR leadership to create multi-generational strategies have seen remarkable results.
Right.
We're not talking about just managing people here. We are architecting experiences that honor different life stages and career phases.
Mm-hmm.
And to wrap, the competitive advantage, companies that recognize the value that an experienced HR professional who can navigate complexity, build authentic relationships, implement sophisticated retention strategies will dominate the talent market. So, you got to invest in those that can help you actually make a difference and
Right.
build something for tomorrow.
Absolutely. Write the recipe book for tomorrow. How about we take your food analogy?
There we go.
Yeah, a step further and tie a neat little bow on the 50th episode. Thank you so much, Pakzad. I think it's been a very informative and colorful conversation today. Can't thank you enough for your insights, but also for joining us on this special milestone for us at Great FM as well. It's
My
been lovely
pleasure.
chatting with you today.
My pleasure. Yeah.
All
I
right.
hope I left you hungry for more.
Absolutely. You know what? I think the game is now just to keep the food analogy going. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in and for being with us on this wonderful ride so far. That's a wrap on this episode of Great FM, but we'll be back very soon with more informative conversation to keep you abreast of everything you need to know in the world of HR. This is Mia Halia signing off for now. Stay safe and stay happy.
This is Great FM, a podcast series by Great HR. Produced by Timber Media.